Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. If you're looking for PTCGO codes, including the stuff from Crown Zenith, make sure you check out the Potown store. You can get a 5% discount on your orders using that code OmniPoke. For today's video, we are going to be looking at Sander's latest creation of Control. He's kind of brought it back from the LAIC where he got a top 8 placement. He has made a few changes alongside the metagame. He's changed his Radiant Pokemon and a few other things in the list. So today we'll be looking at the sort of quad Yveltal Control deck, which is essentially a deck that's trying to have a couple packages for some of the biggest decks in format, and then just have a handful of annoying cards in general to see your way through sort of the more fringe matchups that you might come up against. So it is kind of called Quad Yveltal, and before I say anything else, Sander is obviously the mastermind behind this archetype and has a lot more extensive knowledge of exactly how it works. I am going to leave in the description below a twit longer that he made just yesterday about a lot of the card inclusions, which I think will be really worthwhile reading if you're really interested in playing this deck yourself. But for the general viewer, here's the overview. Yveltal screeching away energy is going to be a big part of your win condition against Lugia decks as well as Mew decks. These are of course archetypes that only use special energy cards, so we can quite happily run them out of energy, try and trap things as well with Galar Mine Boss's Orders as a big combination of the deck. So the Yveltal is super important here. It only has 120 hit points, which can come into play, especially against Lugia. So the high count of Cape of Toughness is really important here, so the Lumineon does not get free prizes on your Yveltal yeeting back into the deck. You want to deny that at all costs, so the Cape is going to be helpful here, as well as a few other things like Galar Mine and Yell Horn, making it more difficult for them to chain Lumineon over and over again. These are all going to be pretty important cards. So Yveltal, big win con against Mew and Lugia. And then we have the Flying Pikachu part of the deck, which is trying to help out against Regis and Lost Boxes. So it's quite a strange way of getting the Flying Pikachu into play. It's not as simple as bench it, attach, then next turn attach and find it, because we only have one Flying Pikachu VMAX and one Ultra Ball to actually try and get this card. It typically takes a bigger combination because we want to checkmate with this deck. We don't want to leave any stone unturned, so the idea is that we make a lone Flying Pikachu, scoop up net everything else, find Parasol, and of course we need to have attachments on the Pikachu to max balloon immediately. We're trying to burst this into play all in one go so the opponent can't respond, because that max balloon text says we prevent all damage done to us from basic Pokemon, and the Big Parasol means we don't get hit by any effects of attacks either. That protects us from Sableye Sprinkle, and that protects us from Regice trying to block us with their attacks. So the Flying Pikachu is meant to be that like lone win con of the deck. The good news is though that Lost Box does not play hand disruption in general, so you can use the new Calyrex card from Crown Zenith, which is a 60 hit point upgrade from Starly that was previously played in this deck at Liverpool, because the King's Instructions reads very similarly to Keen Eye from Starly. We deal for 2 Colorless Energy, 30 damage, which isn't the main factor of the card. It's mostly that you can search your deck for any 2 cards and put them directly into hand. This is going to be really important for us to gather supporter cards just to cycle through the deck, so finding things like Chorus is huge. But also, thanks to, again, Cape of Toughness, we can go all the way up to 170 hit points. Ideally, that means we're surviving early cram hits and whatnot, so that we can get our Flying Pikachu VMAX, our Speed Lightning, our Double Turbo Energy, our Thorton, our Big Parasol, and our Scoop Up Nets. We need to find all of that stuff. But the good news is we're really good at drawing cards with this deck, because we have Gourmandized Snorlax, of course, a linchpin of the deck. Radiant Greninja with a ton of energy. We actually play 14. And we even have Speed Lightning Energy, which we can attach to our Regieleki. And don't forget, we can use Scoop Up Nets just to heal early hits from crams. And the Sonar can help us get back Scoop Up Nets, so we can use them again in future to remain that solo board state. Because you probably want to bench a good amount of things against Lost Box. Things like the Manaphy can come up, because if we're up against Rayquaza, we don't want the Raikou to get a huge amount of damage in. Even if it's, you know, the high hit point Pokemon that it's hitting into, it would then set up a Sableye, which is pretty scary. So I like the Manaphy option. I like getting Greninja to draw cards. I like using a Lecky with Speed Lightning to draw cards. You want to put energy in play anyway, because then they can turn into your Thorton target. But that's also a big reason why we have the thumping Snorlax in here. that unfazed fat means you can't get sprinkled on by Sableye. So if you have Snorlax and Manaphy in play, the only way they can touch this Snorlax is with boss's orders, or if you're forced to rope it up, which is really good. You then become a pretty safe store of energy. You only need to float one energy attachment, because if it's a double turbo or a speed lightning, then on the turn you Thorton into your Flying Pikachu, it's ready to max balloon. So this is a great card to put a double turbo energy on in particular, but also this can actually attack. This is another card that you can use against Lugia when they are doing the Luminion loop. You can try and power this guy up and thump through an Archeops. You can just gust it up and thump through it. So this is definitely a control deck at the core, but there'll be a number of times where we actually look to take prizes. Like Flying Pikachu is going to take prizes against Lost Box and Regis. Thumping Snore can be a way to accelerate the game against a Lugia player as well, and stop them from just waiting around till they can fish, twiddling their thumbs for a ton of turns. Another thing we can do is put pressure on their hand with things like Sydney, trying to discard tools, special energy, and stadiums. The latter two are the most important. Obviously, special energy, huge to deny Lugia from attacking. You're expecting around 15 to 16 energy in Lugia, so there's a lot to get through. And stadiums, so that we can keep Galar Mine in play for as long as possible. Lugia itself can discard Galar Mine, so do use these sparingly. Try and use it on turns where they're disincentivized to use the Lugia. Of course, Lugia is expensive in its own regard, so saving these for later stages when the Lugia is too pricey to use is pretty handy as well, I would say. Outside of that, we have the Miltank, which is kind of that catch-all control card. Blocking V Pokemon could be annoying for all sorts of different archetypes that you may happen to come up against, so it just gives you more win conditions against random stuff. And the Eldegoss Happy Match is a great way to reuse supporters like Boss's Orders, like that Sydney when need be, and gives us an end game infinite loop with Bird Keeper, where we can simply get back the Bird Keeper, Bird Keep into the Eldegoss, then float up back into the deck. You can use this at random points in the mid game as well. If you have it alongside Scoop Up Net, you could simply Happy Match to get back a Colrus or something else like that. Scoop Up Net into the float up as well. So if you want to just have extra cycle, sometimes the Eldegoss helps out here. So the low count of supporters is sometimes supplemented by a Happy Match, which is great. Ideally, you're doing it with Bird Keeper. You just sort of cycle this card. If you have no usable attack, it's similar to like ending on a Gormandize, doing a Bird Keeper float up play. You are cycling cards back into your deck, but you're always -1ing cards in deck, and you're seeing new cards, which is kind of what you're looking to do if you're looking for answers for the following turn. So yeah, this deck is intricate, and I'm by no means going to be anywhere near as proficient as Sander, but I've read the twit longer. I've played around 10 or 15 games with the deck, so I'm hoping we can get some good games in. We want to face the meta, there's no doubt about that. We want to face the top 3 or 4 decks in the game, because we have very solid game plans into those. It's just whether or not we have enough like general frustrating, annoying cards to win games against other decks with Boss Galar Mine, with Miltank, which we have here, and with the other like general control suite. We're kind of less flexible than other control decks. This is definitely like matchup targeting in particular, but that doesn't necessarily make it bad. We're up against a Vikavolt V, so Miltank is definitely going to pull its weight here. They typically only have Zapdos that can attack into us, so I think our win condition is going to be thump through Zapdos, try and reload Miltank. That's pretty much going to be it. We don't have much going on in hand, so this Peonia better be good. Trekking Shoes is a good turn to try and use that. Also, Yveltal is actually a really solid card against them. I could just try and Screech this turn, actually. It doesn't mean we're safe from a Paralyzing Bolt, but if I can do it early enough with this Cape, I can try and get a lot of value and remove a lot of energy. So I think I want to use that. I think I like Galar Mine going. I think I actually like a lot of the trainers in my hand, so I think I'm going to get rid of Double Turbo. No, let's get rid of the Speed Lightning. Is it really double Galar Mine? That feels so strange. I want to have a bounce to Training Court, but I really like this combo. I want to do this, so maybe it's the shoes that actually go. That feels so wrong. I'm going to play like this, I think. Alright. The hand was actually too good. I hope these shoes are actually helpful now. Yes, I'll keep the shoe. Shoe for shoe. Shoe for heavy. We say no to this. Pretty sure. And Parasol is pretty useless, so let's go netting. I think this is just maximum pressure for them. And I don't want them to just Paralyzing Bolt the game away. I at least want them to draw a ton of cards and have things to do. I'm thinking Galar Mine is something that just holds in hand for now. So let's just get rid of a Speed Lightning. Oftentimes, the Vikavolt player doesn't play enough basic Lightning Energy to actually get the job done with Zapdos. So I'm hoping if I can screech away enough Speed Lightnings, I just deny the Zapdos altogether as an option. And then they only have Greninja to attack with against Miltank, which is a hard card to cycle. Alright, so there's the Zapdos. Early Balloon. There's the basic energy to the Vikavolt. So they found early basic, but I really like it here. I'm worried about basic energy coming onto the Zapdos. So I'm actually very happy about this outcome, because they still need to power this guy up. If I can at a later point Cry of Destruction away from the Zapdos, that's going to be huge. So we'll happily tank this. Gourmandize is pretty disgusting here. I'm definitely going to go into that. The shoes worked out in the end, I suppose. We haven't seen a stadium yet, but I want to see more cards. So I'll toss this out there and Gourmandize up. So one thing that is a little bit awkward is we do rely on Scoop Up Net quite a lot to move between our dudes. So that's going to be something we have to manage. But other than that, things are looking pretty good. Sydney's actually a pretty strong card against this deck, I would say. They have the early vacuum. They can use this just to take a prize. Yep, and they're going to knock out Yveltal. Thanks to the early Zapdos and weakness, they can hit the 120. Yeah, I really want to Sydney away Speed Lightnings. That would be monstrous. The deck typically plays quite low switch cards actually as well. It often uses what's it called? Cross switches. And I can try and block them with the Miltank as well. So Greninja is going to do its thing. I'm going to see a lot more cycle from the Vikavolt here. Gets rid of Melanie. Happy to see that. For a Seal Stone. I'm not sure what's a great play for them right now. So yeah, they are just going to Paralyzing Bolt. Makes sense. Honestly, I don't mind the early Bird Keeper and just hit. Put the pressure on the Vikavolt. I actually never want to knock this out because... I want the lightning to stay where it is. But I think I like Bird Keeper Smack, honestly. It's good pressure. Especially with the stadium. I don't mind Greninja coming into play to help out against Judge or Marnie from them. Just debating whether or not. I think it's coming down. Don't think I need to draw much though. What am I drawing towards? It's just like bosses and stuff at this point. I can toss one away. We have so many energy. Yveltal's not bad as well. Again, that's a great way that I can pressurize or stop the Zapdos from attacking us. The Greninja I can't really stop them attacking us with, but the Yveltal I certainly can stop the Zapdos. And here we go. They're starting to get to work, so the Miltank definitely doing its job. They're going to attach some energy to the fish to draw some cards as well. I held off the Sydney as well in part because I want them to grow this hand size more, so I have a higher chance of hitting speeds. There's an early cross switcher. Seems fine. I'm going to have an E-search. That's also fine. I'm going to pick it up, back into Vikavolt, and they're going to keep the lock going for another hit. Seems like a pretty good turn to fire off a Sydney here. Alright, no dice, but their hand is pretty pants. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to cycle again, a capture. So Regieleki is weak to fighting, so it's not a bad card to develop here. Just for a couple more cards. And looks like we're passing. This is probably going to be a slower game, let's be honest. Alright, gonna see the Zigzagoon ping for the KO. I'm pretty happy going into a Lecky, I think. Actually, there's no reason to not go into Miltank here. I was thinking a Lecky just to get back like Bird Keeper or Sydney. But I may as well just throw Milk out there, right? So the Zapdos does cleanly KO Miltank. They can't do it all in the turn, though. Alright, they are going to play out their boss. I don't mind forcing that boss. They do play 2 basic lightnings. That's quite scary for us. Actually, I think it's pretty normal for this deck to play 2 basic lightning. I'm thinking of the Palkia that played 1. Right, just the boot for 60. Okay, we have 130, but they can do Zig Shenanigans again. I'm going to Chorus before the Greninja, because I may just not use Greninja here. Definitely like this, definitely like this, definitely like this, I think. Cape might be good for the turn that I am allowed item cards. So I think it's these 2 that go. That seems pretty good. I'm not going to proactively bench Yveltal because we know they have cross switches in hand and I don't want to give them the free hit. So I think I'm just getting back Bird Keeper here. Yeah, seems fine. Alright, Zig Net coming in, so they can do another Paralyzing Bolt KO on the active. Pretty sure it's a bad time to Yveltal Screech. I basically want to Yveltal Screech and then Thorton back into Miltank. That's kind of the plan here. I am taking a KO this turn, but it's actually risky if I do that, right? It does give me access to prize cards. But do I prefer the Vikavolt being kind of trapped? It's actually kind of close, you know. I'm going to Chorus. I'm pretty sure they're going to try and attack with the Zapdos on the turn they play Marnie. That's the only thing that's putting me off a little bit. I suppose I could bench Lax and attach to that guy as well, because that's a great way to threaten the Zapdos. And it's big enough to do some tanking. I'll debate that after this. So I definitely like this guy. Definitely like this guy. I think Vacuum can go here. It's not the worst card because I can use it against the Sealstone once I get item lock released, but I think it's correct for me to just capture Lax here on the bench. And do I want to do this hit? How many Melanies down are they? They are 3 Melanies down. This could be a way to force break of item lock. They're probably looking to KO anyway with Zapdos next turn. So I go Thump. Yeah, I wanna do this, right? So they don't have an easy respawn. Because they have to turn attach here, then Melanie to the Vikavolt. It means they won't have a Super Zap Cannon way through the Snorlax. So I think I like this hit. This is likely going to be their Judge / Marnie turn. We still have a ton of Twin and Double Turbo in the deck, though, so I should have an easy way to hit this Zapdos. There's the second Speed Lightning. Quick Ball coming down. It's probably going to be their last Melanie on Vikavolt. If they don't use Judge here. They're going to net, that's fine. Okay, it's just the hit with Zap. Okay, that's fine. So, we definitely like doing this. Okay, Thorton is really nice here. So I can Thump, then Thorton. So let's do that now. Let's Cape up in case they have Cycle for Zapdos. Let's... How many items do I want to get rid of? Definitely want to get rid of a few here, right? I don't want to discard Pikachu just in case of Echoing Horn. But I can definitely get rid of Yveltal now because I have another one. I can definitely get rid of Gormandize. That's looking all good. We thinned a lot of items there. And let's do the Thump. There it is. And we are Nap. That's fine. We have Bird Keeper. And I'm not afraid to use it. There's the Vikavolt. There's their last speed. And the Melanie. Alright, and they're just going to hit. Seems good to me. So that's... They still have Switch... Cross Switcher in their hand. So I think it's a Boss Pass. Yep. Because I'm blocking cross switches nicely with Miltank on the bench. Like, they can do it to keep lock up, but they're not getting any damage. Yep, see, there's the cross switches. They might have to boss this back up. See, Rope, okay. Well, it's an extra switch card gone. So, I'm not too upset by that. I'm just going to pass. So I don't mind thumping this. Sure. Actually, I'm not far away from just winning on prizes here. Right, they just pass. Do I show them that I just have Infinite Loop just to speed things up? No, I probably shouldn't. I want to draw the rest of the cards in my deck. I don't mind playing Sydney just to see what's what here. Alright, their hand is pretty bad. They do have Judge though. Just pass. I didn't see Echoing Horn, that's the good news. Echoing Horn was more of a Palkia Vikavolt card. Vikavolt, I need to get in the habit of saying it correctly. Right. I think I'll Bird Keeper now. Alright, there's E-Search for water. And the Paralyzing Boot doesn't stop us from just winning a prize race. It can be done. It can be done. Yeah. Alright. Miltank definitely putting in work there to win condition against all sorts of decks. It's not just in here for Vikavolt, it can also help out against Arceus stuff. Even just forcing like payments of retreat and switch cards out of people's hands is a lot of value, even when people have answers. But obviously it's very good against Vikavolt players. Let's get another game in. That took a fair while. It's another Miltank start. Let's go. Mew. Is another Vikavolt? Let's check our prizes out. I'll take the poke. 2 Galar Mines prized and Lost Vacuum. That's pretty yucky. 2 Galar Mines and Lost Vacuum. Well, I'm pretty sure I don't need Flying Peak because Mew isn't in Reggie's or Lost Box. I'm just trying to think if there's anything I actually... I guess I can get rid of the Parasol instead because I can recycle Parasol, right? Even though Mew is quite... sorry, Peak is quite the dead card and I could have -1'd. Let's start like this. Grab Gourmandize. I'm going to swing an energy onto Miltank just as pressure. No, I'll just pass. Gives me a pay retreat into Gourmandize, but I don't necessarily... I want to see what I'm up against before cycling. I already have Colress anyway, so I have some amount of draw. I mostly just want to see what I'm working towards here. Energy... This is another Vikavolt deck, isn't it? Well, you're going to learn that matchup inside and out. The retreat was like fairly obvious here, but because maybe I was tinted glasses because I just faced Vikavolt and saw how good Miltank was, but it's probably going to work out well here because they can try and go for the early Paralyzing Bolt, but we don't care. See a basic Lightning and a pass. Okay. We're going to Chorus. Wow, I like a lot of these cards. These are all really good cards. Yeah, that sucks to get rid of some of them. I'm going to see some more from the capture. And honestly, if they're not going to put stuff down, I can just power up Body Slam. So yeah. If the hand doesn't get them very far, let's just try and grief them. Trekking Shoes. Well, they didn't want the Crobat, so they at least have access to Pokemon here. There's a little Minion. This is looking a lot like a Vikavolt deck. One that hasn't drawn particularly well. They're going to Melanie just for draw here. Awesome new Crown Zenith Luminion artwork. I think I like cycling still. Now I can get rid of Pikachu pretty happily. we're gonna, yeah, keep drawing with Regieleki. I think Bird Keeper, recover Bird Keeper's not a bad shout. Shoes. We don't need many Yveltal. That's nice, getting a cape developed on Miltank to protect around Zapdos sounds very good. And we'll just recover the Keeper. Cycle is normally the name of the game for this deck. You want to filter out the bad, end up with just the good. Can't imagine what sort of hand they have. I'm going to find out next turn, but the hand is probably super weird if it's been this slow. Definitely some missing pieces in there. There's a basic energy. I'm going to have a look-see, I think. Although Yell Horn Bird Keeper is a nice combo. I don't mind Yell Bird. Yeah, recovering Yell Horn's not that good, right? Let's just do this. The body slam for 60 doesn't sound worth it, so let's just do this. And we'll just swing for a little bit of damage. I basically just want to keep them drawing as many cards as possible to maximize the Sydney value, right? We know they have a lot of basic energy in hand. That's not the type of energy I'm looking for. 3 E-Search, that's a lot. I've got every flavor under the sun. Alright, they do flip tails. Nice. I want to keep cycling, I think. Okay, we'll take them. Do I want to attach to a... I guess I can't attach Turbo to a Regieleki because I want to... The only reason I would be to knock out a Zapdos, right? But it doesn't if I Turbo it. They probably can't flip now. They probably have to pay retreat. Oh, what a risky flip. Hello? Alright, let's see what's going on. Right, so they should be able to construct a way to hit us with Vikavolt next turn, right? Because they can find fish, find Vikavolt, and they can hit whatever they want. That's fine. Let's just boot. Again, it mostly comes down to us dealing with Zapdos. They may not even look to use Vikavolt. They may just skip that step and go all Zapdos basic energy. Oh, they play Dragonites. Okay. Does have Shred. Okay. Let's play Peonia. Capes and Galar Mine seem good. Let's pop this back. I think these are going in. to the Abyss. I think I like caping Dragonite, the Aleki the most. Could also just keep it around. I'm thinking I want to retreat and sonar for the Yell Horn, but I can just wait on it. I don't think he goes for Aleki first from my bench. I also want to block like Air Balloon and stuff like that, so let's just go here. It's pretty obvious they're not trying to item lock, so I'm not going to commit a cape because I don't really know where it lives. So let's do this. An argument for me to not knock it out and just keep my route damage high, but I'm not too fussed about it. It's a long road to boot me no matter what, right? Alright, so they can Zig Ping, so I'm probably picking up Miltank here and going for a Body Slam. I think that's best. Such a big high roll on the flip. While I re-establish the guy. No dice, but decent chip. He's going to Gale through. Okay. I'm going to try and get back Yell Horn now. I think. Seems good to me. I have to not get too carried away with these double turbos. I need one of them to stay on Eldegoss. So let's sonar back Yell Horn. I possibly should have done this before the Body Slam, honestly. Oh, the reason I didn't was I'm affecting him with a different status condition. So that's kind of scuffed. Alright, now I'm just going to boot through this guy. Seems like a plan. And I can go Bird Keeper hit with Eldegoss this turn. With the Yell Horn. So he is confuzzled. Yeah, we definitely go into Miltank, right? I was thinking if I go into Yveltal, I could make a Thorton play. Thorton into an Aleki. But he's going to give us that option anyway. Cross switches. I'm going to pick up good old Mew. They're going to hit us. Pretty happy with the Thorton into Sonar here, I think. Seems like a good play to me. It's going to boot through a Lecky. Go Confusion, Bird Keeper, and Float. Say yes. All of this is fine and dandy, but I do also probably have to get through a Zapdos. So it's not set in stone that we just take the dub here. Interesting. They may not play an answer to Flying Peak. The more I'm looking at his deck list, it looks like if they play Zapdos, they don't play Aerodactyl, right? Oh, but I already got rid of the Flying Peak. And Flying Peak is like one of the only cards I can't cycle. Alright, they're getting ready with Greninja, that's fine. They are able to shred. So can I lose next turn? No, right. I'm just thinking if I want to... They can't accelerate to the Greninja, right? Do I want to... Oh, I'm allowed to sit... Yeah, this is fine. Right, I'll take Bird Keeper. We'll keep her in. So I can lose to Tool Removal plus Zig Ping plus Heads Shred. So I still lose to Zig Pings or Tool Removal next turn. So I probably need to play Scoop Up Net this turn. And if I'm playing Net, I am playing Sydney. So let's go Sydney. Definitely like hitting this. This is pretty big. We know they have at least energy in hand. And they do have Raihan. And I am giving them energy to Raihan. Which is a little bit ugly, honestly. Take up Bird Keeper. Play Net. Attach Bench. Cape. And we've got a Float. Alright, 2 prizes. Not bad. Get in there. So they can right-hand this turn, try and make some combo happen. Ditto into Dragonite. So I suppose they actually just Raihan. Okay, they're actually going to Melanie. They can turn attach to the lightning here. Because I thought it was Vikavolt with this opening Mew. I was like, there's no way they don't have Aerodactyl. So I didn't go the Flying Peak route, but based on this, like, Flying Peak was definitely the line, right? It's just kind of like, the way they opened the game is so weird. Completely threw me off. So how am I weaving in this Flying P? Or am I going Sonar here? Sonar's just so weird when we know he still has tons of pivot outs. I just have no energy removal at all. What can I go into that actually just wins me the game? I definitely want a boss. And I think I just bench Manaphy this turn. I suppose I could bench Thump. It gives him cross-switcher plays, though, or rope plays. He can rope anyway. It gives him cross-switcher plays, so I don't like that. I think I just have to pass here. I could lose again to just pings, though. Gotta bench something. Gotta change the situation somehow. I think this may be my way. And pass like this. It's sussy because it does give him cross switch outs, but I'm gonna see Poké Gear. Melanie. Yeah, I definitely think me shutting off the option to Flying Peak was probably the big mistake of this game. Because even though he has Shred, we're doing so much damage with Max Balloon. It's just like such a losing game for him. I guess that's kind of the learning experience of this deck, to not close doors on yourself. And the Peak itself is the only card that I can't recycle in the whole deck. So right, it's going to be the cross-switcher smack. So we boss again here. And pass. But I think we're losing here. Pretty sure this is what losing feels like. Yep, it's going to be ping ping. Okay, well, this was not the matchup that I thought it was. If it is Vikavolt, you have to expect Palkia or Aerodactyl, so you're not meant to go Flying Peak route, but the deck was just different from what we expected. And that is probably just one of those gaps in the format. If you see a Mew, you never think Dragonite, right? You always think that Comfey is going to be the deck playing Dragonite, but looks like that Vikavolt player probably just got bored and wanted an answer to Miltank, which is very fair, by the way. It's just one of those low percentage matchups you come up against. But yeah, our win con should have just been Balloon there as best we can. But regardless, that is the deck. We saw Miltank in action more than anything else. That was literally just the one of Miltank, the deck, and everything else was supplementary. But at least you got to see the Eldegoss loop a little bit, where you're infinite with Bird Keep. But yeah, it should be a fairly straightforward game, I want to say, against Lugia. It's weird resourcey, so you have to be careful. But against Lugia and Mew, it's a lot of crowd destruction. It's a lot of knowing what to boss and when to Galar Mine. Obviously, be careful of their Lugia removing these stadiums, because they are quite precious. And it's weaving between crowd destruction, Aleki sometimes getting stuff back, and Gormandize to top up on cards. Against Lost Box, it is the Thorton Max Balloon combo. If you're really scared of Dragonite as well, you could just play a Cook in the list, and then you have healing against it. It also somewhat helps if Lost Boxes are teching Lost Vacuum, because they'll try and like Sableye Sprinkle you. So you could play like a Hyper Potion or a Cook and just have an extra turn of heal on your Flying Peak, which could help against Dragonite, and it could help against like Sableye or like a basic V Giratina coming into the list. Those are sort of tech cards that could come in, so a bit of healing for this guy isn't a bad idea. What else to say, really? Yeah, we faced some weird stuff today. That's just how it's been all day on the ladder. I've tested all these games today, and I was hoping to get more normal matchups, and almost everything has been weird. Maybe because my win rate's tanking because I'm playing this deck and learning it. But yeah, we seem to have come up against a lot of wacky stuff. But I hope you still enjoyed the video. It was basically Miltank the deck, but you got to see the engine in action at the very least, and the twit longer will be in the description. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video tomorrow. Cheers.